Check, check, quick sound check. Can everybody hear us loud and clear? What's going on, Coach Paul?
Hey, I can hear you loud and clear, Coach Jay. How are you doing today?
Doing all right, doing all right. Got beat up a little bit by the markets today, but we made it out okay. A couple scratches, be a little bit of a black eye, but I'm doing all right. How are you doing today, Coach?
Good. Um, I act, I acted out a profit, um, but very interesting day.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting day for sure, in a bunch of different markets.
in a bunch, the gold was quite the the market, but we'll go over that. And
I played pickleball today. I took my wins out on the pickleball court. So life's all about balance. So yeah, won
you
at
like
pickleball.
you professional pickleball player or
Not
just
at all, not at all. I go find the worst players and I play against them. Uh, it's a fun sport though, fun sport. It's good to play against the people who are better than you because it kind of it's a challenge for sure. But today they were not better than me. Um, Welcome to all of our buzzer beaters. Welcome to At the Buzzer, our market recap. If this is your first time here, we don't always talk about pickleball. The goal of this segment is to review what happened in the markets for the day. We may talk about some markets that you have not traded before, but we believe our goal as traders is to identify opportunity. We want to see how we can take advantage of those opportunities while managing our risk. If this is our first time meeting, I am Coach Jay. Been a top step performance coach since June of 2023. Been trading for the past 13 years and in the futures markets for the past six. And that is Coach Paul. Coach Paul, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Coach Paul. I've been with Topstep since April of 2023. I've been involved in the futures trading industry for 4 decades. I'm here to share my experiences, uh, some wisdom, and hopefully how assist you in becoming a better trader.
Thank you for that, Coach Paul. You are all our chat, our audience. Thank you for joining us as always. And if you have any questions, put them in the chat. Andrew helps us out every day, sending over your questions so we can answer as many as possible. Let's take a look at the news really quick. We did have a ton of news out this morning. We had PPI come in at 2.4%. Forecast was 2.5. Previous was 2.7. So inflation coming down a little bit. Month over month, they were looking at 0.2%, came in at negative 0.5%. Previous was negative zero point 0.4. We also had jobless claims come in at 229,000. Forecast was 227.5 thousand. And Powell, we had some comments out of Fed Chair Powell. Basically, said they were going to kind of review the Fed's goal of a 2% inflation. I think they said that, what I remember, that was set sometime in 2012 or something like that. I didn't get the headline exactly, but they're reviewing pretty much the Fed's communication style and what they're looking forward to. I think you mentioned COVID kind of throwing off the Fed's goals for inflation a little bit. Anything else you got from the news, Coach?
No, I think the market was prepared, nothing shocking, and we continued on our way on a rally, but nothing to change nothing shocking. We're well within expectations, allowing more buying to come into the equity market.
Or buying for sure. All right, let's take a look at the quote board. We have 35 different markets we could trade with top step accounts, not just the equities. And today, to the downside, we had soybean futures down 2.27. Shout out to Coach Paul. Natural gas down 3.72%, and soybean oil, our biggest percentage mover to the downside, at 5.73%. A lot of that move was change this to extended trading hours. One candle in soybean oil. Did it go? What is happening with this chart? Was this a limit down?
Could have been
It looks like it.
soybeans. Soybeans were close to, well, the old limit was 30 cents and soybeans were down 30 cents. So oils could be, yeah, it could be it.
That looks like it. Interesting.
I don't know.
Most of that move came from this huge candle right here,
Yeah.
and it just continued the trend. And Dakota and I saw this on slow markets last night, and was just like, wow, that's a big move. And it locked the limit down. Interesting. To the upside, we had soybean meal up 1.51%. Uh, Gold, what happened, Coach?
Well, it's one was limit down, the other was the almost limit up.
Right.
We talk about spreads, and
Crush spread, is that the crush spread?
that's the crush spread, and then it got crushed.
Uh,
And the fact that that wow, that's once in a 20-year thing. Incredible.
Gold up 1.67%, and lean hogs, our biggest percentage mover to the upside at 1.92%. To talk about our big four, we had crude oil down 2.17%, the S&P up a half a percent. We already talked about gold up 1.66%, and the Nasdaq almost flat, up 0.09%. Uh, take a look at the Nasdaq chart. Let's go out to a daily. Start with the daily really quick. I'm going to put a couple levels on here. 399.75. For some reason, this order getting filled yesterday and the price action that we've seen has me very bullish. This market's the way this order got filled. But put some context here. 1500 filled.
There we go.
1500 offer.
Filled. Yeah.
Right. So uh, Nasdaq on the daily, Coach Paul. We talked about a couple of candles earlier on this week. The one I'm pointing out here is the January 27th candle, and we traded right to 50% of that today. Accepted inside of it this week, traded right to 50%, right around that 21,500 level, major psych level. Anyone who's trading the Nasdaq is going to know when we trade 21,500, similar to 21,000 or 20,000. What else are you seeing here on the daily?
Oh, much as to repeat, maybe onward and upward. We had a bit of a test last night, whatever news came out, but definitely held um, some support levels on my daily levels, and really on the opening, it wasn't easy. We paused, waited for Chair Powell, some other news to get over, and onward we went up. This market looks like it wants to go back and test those highs.
Yes, it does. We did open up with a gap down last night. Shout out to Dakota. He had the right idea on a short in the Nasdaq, and maybe just a little bit too tight with the stop. He was short from around 374, kind of where we opened up, and I liked the short. And him and I were talking about, is this one that we're going to wake up tomorrow and look at the market and say, hey, that's a trade that I should have been in, or I can stay in. And I think in this case, the stop was just a little bit too tight. Dakota manages his risk the way he does. A stop above yesterday's high, just based on market structure, would have cost a lot more, especially being in a five lot. But we kind of closed the gap down, uh, traded right back up to that big order, didn't find any convinced buyers above it, and we sold off. So pretty nice sell last night. I think kind of waiting for this gap to fill. There was really no directional price action for 8 hours last night, right? So quick gap fill and rejection and sell from there. It was a pretty nice sell off from there, almost a 200-point move. Uh, and from there, we kind of bottomed out in London and made our way right back up.
Much like the gold.
Much
Um, but look at that J trade standing out there, exhausted. Um, yeah, that one.
is this one, or are you looking at a different one?
No, I'm looking at the different one from the opening.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So opening volume right here. Yep. What Coach Paul is referring to is this volume right here, the selling. We know we're going to see higher volume in the during the open, but it doesn't kind of change the fact that, Coach, if we didn't know what candle this was, it's the same thing.
Well, it stopped me from getting short.
There you go.
um, and I hit it. So, I mean, that's selling. Couldn't take out the overnight lows. It was heavy selling. We were lower on the day. I think, and it couldn't break that low. Now it was a grind on on the lower, on the 3 minute and the 5 minute. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
look at this 30-minute candle. It's a doji.
yeah, and I think originally, I mean, but look, it should have broke. Now some of the old habits from last month were like, okay, but this is going to go lower. Well, I had good selling, but it this is the characteristic of this rise. We get selling heavy. We'll call that heavy selling. That doesn't take it lower, and then it grinds higher,
Yep.
only to come right back. Although, where'd it go to, Coach? Middle of that
Uh,
range.
right back to the middle of the range. Delta Tango says, "What was the J trade?" Coach Paul is referring to this one, right? This high volume here that we had on the open, and then the close outside of it. Um, even with this close outside, let's say you waited for this close on the 30-minute. Uh, it's still a good trade. Now your risk, maybe I don't set my risk all the way at the end of this because that's pretty expensive. But that's pretty close to two ATRs. Two ATRs would be, if I took this long from right here, two ATRs would be 100 points, 106 points. I get stopped out right here. But Coach Paul is referring to this one here. Uh, but yeah, right back to the middle of the range. The market respects volume. There was no reason for sellers to continue to sell here. Linus Rain, correct. I am on the 3 minute. Remember, these patterns can happen on whatever time frame. Uh, Coach Paul, I
You're
think
on the
you
30 minute.
on the 30-minute, right? I think you traded this one on the 30-minute, correct?
Yes.
Right. So uh, remember, Coach Paul a lot of times is looking at a higher time frame chart when he looks at some of these patterns. We can look at a 3 minute, and it's not. We don't really see the same structure, and I think that's part of the reason why you look at a 30-minute Coach Paul. Uh,
Well, on the 30 minute gives me an idea of what side I want to trade. Now, the 30 minutes above the 200, well above the 200, and I knew this at that point. I wasn't going to get short. Just that for me, I eliminated that side, and actually, was a nice on a 3 minute when it broke out of the range. That was a 2 to 1.
oh
So
yeah,
using the longer term, um, to give an idea of what to do on a shorter term and executing it on a 3 minute. So two things that helped me. I don't, I didn't get short for me.
yeah,
Just maybe, I'm not good enough to get that high and get short. Now I'm not saying you can't do that as a trader. Just it's the way I trade, and we all trade different. But going with the flow, um, it gave me an opportunity to be patient. Man, it took some patience.
did it. I wish I was trading with you today, Coach Paul, because I got short the S&P. If I look at it in hindsight, there was really not a great reason to get short. I ended up flipping and getting long and making back some of the losses on the day. But yeah, once this decided to choose a direction, and it was to the upside, at least for a little bit, there was really not a great reason to short this market once we broke out of this 30-minute range. Uh, the order 21 399.75, this purple line here, you can see a little bit of consolidation around that area. But once we close above that, same thing here, right? We the continued move. Let's see. Once we close above it, which is this candle right here, what does volume do? Right, that could be a trade as well. Volume continuing to push above those highs. So for some pretty nice continuation for 100 points from that order. And the way that order filled has me, and the way this market is kind of moving has me looking very bullish. Uh, Anything can happen. We saw some headlines that came out about and I don't even know if these were escalation headlines, but it was a headline about the amount of troops that are in Ukraine, amount of Russian troops that are in Ukraine. Kind of coincided with this sell-off, but I think from a volume perspective, Coach Paul, we just got a little extended. If we look at volume from the regular trading hours, we were almost 10 ATRs away on the 3-minute chart at this point. So a headline looks like it did it, but really, there were not enough convinced buyers above 21,500 for this market to continue.
No, I really, the way this is structured, it looked like the early sellers were the ones who bought it up.
Yes.
Bad selling drives the market higher.
Yep.
So once again, though, the ranges are going smaller and smaller. I have the average shoe range now at 94 in the S&P. We had a 77.5 point range. Um, in the NASDAQ, it was a 337 point range. I have the ATR at 450. So it's that structures, we're taking out premium and volatility, which is an indication that buying is definitely holding. The premium for fear or the fear index is going down um, still. And that's why I remain friendly to the buy side.
Stuff. We got some questions here, just about some execution stuff on trades. Genius Genie. Hopefully, we you got your 30-minute breakdown there of the Nasdaq. Pedro asked, "What do you think about ES? Does it need a pullback?" Let's see. Let's look. No, I don't think it does. I don't think it does, Pedro. Look at the daily. We've been talking about this 200 moving average on the daily. Not the exact low of the day. It's at 58.85. Low of the day today was 58.67. I think the pullback is kind of, you know, uh, we've satisfied that pullback, right? We got what we needed. Um, and if we look at the regular
Yeah.
trading hours, that was pretty much support. Go ahead, coach.
Coach, you took the words out of my mouth.
What happened?
Well, the 200 was under it last night.
Right.
It didn't. So the volume, as soon as we opened, the volume came in and it bought it above the 200-day moving average. Um,
Open for regular trading hours, you're saying?
yeah, because look at that. Look at the open, and it wicked all that selling underneath it last night. Well, there you go. So this is
I'm
why
I I'm not
you
happy
okay?
with my trading today.
Put it in your journal.
Yeah, I'm definitely journaling a day like today. There was no reason to get short this market today. Not even a little bit. Maybe at the highs on this extension. Uh,
Yeah. Well, even if you're trying to sell it, I get it. I don't, but reading the flow, getting an idea of what the larger participants are doing.
yep.
Um, and if you want to get short and you're good at it, I don't. If you lost a little bit today or made a little bit, you're a good trader. Um, but why did you get short?
Uh, so I was looking for a pullback. We closed kind of yesterday's range here,
Hmm.
um, and I think I was looking for a pullback to view up. Like I said, there was not a great reason. I think the trade was probably in profit. When did I get short? I closed Quantower, so I don't have my executions up. But I got short in here, looking for a pullback to view up. But this is where, and if I'm journaling this, and you can ask yourself as well, if you're looking for a pullback, is it a good enough reason to take the trade? Um, Something like this is a little bit different, where we've gotten that extreme extension from view up. Right at this point, we are again
Yeah.
10 ATRs away. This is a decent enough pullback trade to take. This one here, I think it was more of a FOMO. I feel like I missed my entry because the market started to break out. So I was hoping for a pullback instead of just waiting for better price action. And if we look, once that volume started to break out, we never here's a decent volume spike, right? Outside of the first hour of trading. Flow was to the upside. So I was shorting because maybe I felt I missed an entry, which is not a good enough reason to take a trade. Like I said, eventually I got on the right side. I got long 59.19s, was able to recover some of the loss. Um, but there's a much better day available here if you execute what the market is telling you and not uh, what you want to see.
Yeah, that's just that's very honest um, and forthright answer to trading. We as traders, we do this. There's like our ego gets in the way, or our subconscious gets. And when you review, and I strongly encourage this, review trades and have I have a four-step process that I check before I get into a trade because I'm prone to do that too. But the more you do that, and you go, wait, and this is for everyone. This is a way to improve your decision making and try to get away from trades that you feel will work versus what you know works. So, um, Coach Jay, thanks for that. It's how we get to be better traders.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I I, I know the game I'm playing. Sometimes you just got to be better, right? And there's really nothing more than that. Let's see. Other questions that we got here. Terrence has a question. I'm gonna throw this one to you, Coach Paul. On that reversal trade, on that J trade, are you looking for a candle close outside of the range to enter, or are you looking for a pullback to the range?
Very good question. I'm a person that a breakout and a close, not just a price, a close. If it's just the price, that means it has no time in it. Not all prices are created equal. But you're better at waiting for the pullback. Um,
Sometimes.
someti- now without the data, which is better, I don't know, but I know my personality. I got that's what I want to do, and then take my risk there. Um,
So just for a quick example, let's say, and this is not one, but let's say that this is the candle that you're basing the close off of. We close in this case about 4 points higher. So let's say you get an entry 5 points higher than the signal, right? Because the
yeah,
signal is the high of this candle. You're getting an entry 5 points higher than the signal. You're okay taking this, right? Because
yeah,
one, I know how you measure the risk. You're looking for it. You're not looking for a scalp, right? You're not looking for a 4 point trade in the S&P. Take this. You're looking for about 20 points on this, if not more. Um, so you're okay with this drawdown as long as price doesn't break the low of this candle.
yes. The price of it. What's the? I'm thinking of it back to poker. What's the ante? Okay, and what's it going to cost to stay in?
Sometimes you got
Right?
to be big blind, right?
Yeah, you got to be. Yeah, you've got to pay for the next round.
Right.
Now, if it's too expensive, okay, well, not for me. I don't. It's not worth the risk in that decision making and risk management. Um, and the more we do these open range breakout trades, the smaller the range, I like the trade better.
Give me two. Give me two of them.
Yeah, I'll take yeah. But and then I'm in the process of looking at that. What's the average range? Maybe I measure it against the average true range. It is it. But still, that's the first tell for me. Okay. What's my risk? What's it going? I think better than risk is what's it going to cost?
Yep.
What's the cost of entry? Okay, is it worth it? Um, can I get, or more important, what can I afford? Old saying is that I might have a champagne taste and a six-pack budget. Um, maybe I don't get the bottle of Moy. I have to go and get a 12-pack of Yingling for all you East Coasters. So anyway, knowing that actually helps the decision-making process and lowers the anxiety because if you don't make that decision before you get in, what are you relying on?
Hope.
Hope, and you know what happens? Hope, fear, intertwingle. They braid. It's now it's hope, and then it's so to get the control of your anxiety level, knowing that is okay. I can afford this. I want to take this trade, and once you know your process and um maybe even back tested it, which might be available very soon here on Top Step X, Coach Robert. If you didn't, check out his hour. He did a
Was that
um
today? I missed it.
yeah, and he does it again next week.
I gotta make sure I
I'm
join that.
really, really excited for that. I think that it it takes Top Step one step further. Um, and then you can back test your strategy. And that's
Game
when it
changer.
really it's a game changer. It's comfortable. I want to take that. I'm
So,
going to take that because I know there's an edge over time and I don't have to focus on every trade being a winner. So in this trade here, yeah, I take that. Um, but that fits me. Now, you like to buy the pullback.
yeah, for me, I'm looking for a lot of times I'm looking for 50%. If unless it's a strong trend, right? If we look, let's say again, this candle was the one that we're looking at, because VWAP is still in this range, I'll look to buy at 50%. If VWAP was out of this range, let's say this VWAP was up here, I would be looking to buy at the high. I
Uh,
just
I like that.
I
And
always try to get in a better price than VWAP if I can. That's my goal. If possible, get in a better price than VWAP.
okay, I'll have to. I will remember that. I like that idea because VWAP, it isn't, there's no urgency in that.
Right.
So there's an execute. And one thing, once I see a trade, I think like an execution broker.
Right.
I got to execute it. I've got an order. Can I get, I keep customers if I get a little better. But, and think of myself as a customer.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, in that structure, that's a really good idea. I'm gonna mark that down here.
Some stuff. And again, the trigger for the trade is the close outside that range.
Yeah.
Right. Anything else is accepting that this may not be that same setup. Right. Good stuff. Good conversation. We talk about this in theory a lot, and we don't get so much into the execution of it. Sometimes I think it's cool when you see it live. Obviously, markets are closed, but we can't do that here. Porfin says, "How long do you keep VWAPs with high volume?" It depends on what the high volume is based on. If it's just a random high volume candle in the middle of the day, um, I'll keep it as long as it is relevant to the price action. If it's something like a FOMC meeting or a CPI or something like that, I might leave it on a little bit longer. But I'll keep it on as long as it looks like price is continuing to respond to it. As soon as we get some more high volume or something like that, then I'll anchor to those. And the reason you don't want to keep them too long is because let's say I have one from whatever this spike is right here. There's a lot of low volume time accounted for in this equation, and I don't want to know about the low volume time. Right? So I need to keep current information based on, hey, there was a high volume trigger. What is the most recent price action saying about it? Right? If I keep it on for too long, I'm getting all this unnecessary chop in this equation. Uh, Coach Paul, is this typical OPEX behavior? What we're seeing in the equities right now?
Mm, that's a good question. Without any data, um, but well, there's so many expirations now and options. I think that overall it has less effect, but I think the effect is always there. It's to some degree, because any option positions are it's are come to the futures market because it's the best place to hedge for market makers. It's the most liquid. Even if they're cash, I mean, because of the leverage. So the move itself, I don't think so. But the swings intraday, like some of these brutal swings, um, yeah, it definitely is causing short-term turbulence, especially when it's overloaded. Without getting into a deep discussion of options, yeah, it's definitely changed the structure on a short-term basis. The choppiness can be related to that, but the longer-term trends, no.
So, last thing I want to talk about on the equities, we spent a little bit of time here, but last thing I want to talk about, we've talked about these candles. The highest daily volume candle on the way down that has not been kind of traded through. We closed right at the high of it today. Looking at March 4th in the S&P. I don't know the significance of that day, but it was high volume for a reason. We just closed right at the high of it. So I would imagine that anybody who was short in this has probably covered at this point. Uh, or maybe not. Maybe they're selling
Well,
it again, and that's why we're seeing all these big orders step up.
or maybe they bought futures. We don't know, but
Right.
the volume isn't there, and this goes more into that idea was that it's safe. The
Yeah.
and this is how it drifts up. I mean, like people are saying, "What the heck? Just what happened?" And let's look at the monthly quickly. I
Go
to
back to
show
the
that
S&P.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, this is we get a 3 bar
The,
reversal basically on the
the
monthly.
the mother of all wicks.
Right.
I mean, okay, now we look at that. I, wow, when are we going to ring the air horn? Is the next question, I think.
Very soon. Very soon. I was looking for 6,000 S&Ps today. Maybe I was a little ambitious. But we are about, what are we? 6,000 where we closed today. We're about 1.5% off of 6,000. 1% off of 6,000. That could, yeah,
It could happen in a day.
it could happen tonight. Buy the dip. That is not financial advice. That is just what the market is doing right now. Uh, all right, let's go over to gold, which was rallying at the same time as the equities today. We're on a daily. Uh, Here's why we're on a daily. What are we looking at here, Coach Paul?
Oh, what a night! What a day in the gold. I, look at what we held at that 50. Last night there was huge selling. I mean, look at the range today. It doesn't that candle doesn't do justice to the move that happened today. So we closed above the 50, although we wicked underneath with some liquidation last night. Um, Still holding that 50. Can it get through that last yesterday's high where it could launch again? But
Yesterday's
still,
high is 32.6130.
all right. So we'll watch that. But I'll tell you, it still doesn't. We could hit. It doesn't look as strong as the last time it bounced off. Um, Maybe it goes back to the 20-day, but I'm I still think this gold market is starting to struggle. Um, let's look at that half hour because last night there was a big move down.
Yeah, this is like the you ever watched professional wrestling when they was like about to be a 3 count and they lift up their arm right before the third count. That's what it looked like today. Uh, I thought we were done. I thought we were cooked. I was looking to buy this last night and then it just started selling off. I was like, okay, here it goes. Uh, the end for gold, and they got up off the mat. Let's look at last night's open. Wow. What's this white line up here?
The 200 bar moving average.
This is a 30-minute chart. Uh,
Boy.
all right. What are we looking at here, Coach Paul?
So last night we traded above that opening range, but the VWAP did not go with it. And I did get a short when it closed below in a half hour. I couldn't believe how quickly it broke like 50, 55, $60.
Yeah, that was a strong move.
Yeah, without, and look at that, there was no buying. And um it turned around on a dime.
Yeah.
I, where okay, now if we so that one and a half, let's see what happened on a 3 minute at that time.
So, couple of things. 3 minute at the low. Couple of things. Sometimes high volume is going to mean a reversal. Sometimes high volume is going to mean continuation. And this is a perfect example, I think, right here of why we try not to preempt that trade. At this point, this was 2,000 contracts traded in a 3 minute candle. That's the highest volume for the day at that point, also at the low of the day. If we attach a VWAP to that, maybe you could have bought it. Maybe you bought it and you said, oh, this is the reversal. I know this trade. I've seen it happen before. I'm going to take it because I want to get a better price. But sometimes, and I think we said this yesterday, Coach Paul, high volume. I think a good question to ask is who's in control and is what they're doing sustainable? 2,000 contracts at that point is a lot of volume, especially for that time of night. But they had more to sell. So,
Yeah.
the trade here is to try to find how to get in with this trend, especially with this VWAP being so slanted. Maybe you don't get in this perfect price, but a close outside here is the exact opposite of the close above the high, right? The market saying we're not trading these prices anymore, and we can get in the other way. Uh,
Yeah.
what a freaking trade!
Now look what happened.
Another one.
And this one made it like made new lows. Those lows held.
This is just flat here. This is, and you could see it much clearer in hindsight, but you can see this in real time too.
Well, we never closed below that.
Nope.
That's another thing. On the first one, the next candle we closed lower. Then, we
Yeah.
broke that low and closed
Very next
and
candle.
continued. Here we do not. That's why you hear me. Unless I'm getting out, if I'm getting in, it needs to close over a level. If I'm getting out, it's a price, preferably a market if touched price, but that's another discussion. Um, but this one, when we did get exhaust, and this is the rules of exhaustion, doesn't close below that price. And that was huge volume. How many traded down there? I mean,
About so here we got 2,200 and then another 1,500 on this kind of exhaustion here. And I'm looking at a 3 minute. If you're looking at a 15 minute or whatever, it might be a little different. Um, but yeah, a lot of volume at those lows. And what was there? Wasn't the 50 moving average? I don't know what was. I mean, they just wanted to buy it.
it just it was, or one other thing that we talk is it's exhausted. The seller, it was a big seller. In my opinion, it came out of Asia again,
Yep. hmm
and we've seen that all the way up. It came out of Asia. Seemed to me it's liquidation. Like we got to. How much gold do you have to sell? Oh, about 5,000 contracts. Okay, they stopped selling. I know this being on a floor broker on the floor. You stop selling if you had that order, and this is hypothetical. I mean, this is you stop selling. Who's left to sell?
Right.
Someone else, but they're not showing up. So that move, that's why it's called exhaustion, and it has to happen on high volume. It would not happen on low volume.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know this at this time. This is just we see that and the trigger is it closes above that high.
Yep. Yeah, I think what's really important here is to, especially if we're framing out these two trades, because again, this sell is a little bit late to what happened, but this high volume, I don't think the goal is to try to find the entry right here up at these highs. Because we don't know that this is going to happen, right? We're looking at it in hindsight, but just like, okay, yeah, it's trickling lower, and it's like, oh wow, what's going on? There's a ton of volume in gold. Um, when I see this, I'm probably not looking for an entry for another 3 to 6 minutes here, right? Because I need to wait for what that next candle says, right? And then we get the close outside. Now here's my entry, right? If you to me, if you go with the mindset of the highs and lows of a move are not meant for us because we don't get to create them, uh, then you don't bother yourself with trying to figure out exactly how to get in right here, um, because you're lucky if you did. Go ahead, coach.
I was just going to say that's a price decision, just based alone
Correct.
only on price.
Yep.
Would ideally it's price, volume, and time.
Right. Ideally.
And that's where when we talk about patience, that's what it um most mostly just on price it can be a very impulsive. And yeah, uh, from my
Yeah.
experience, like um but you get information with volume that's really important. I'm still shocked because I never even thought about taking that buy. I was glad I actually covered in that area.
You bought it.
It,
You just didn't buy to open.
yes, I didn't get long.
Right.
Um,
Which is okay
but
because it was
I would have,
the right call was to buy down here.
yeah, I would have never thought it was going to go back up. But hey, there's still buyers off that in that area.
So really quick, I do want to point out, like we talked about, sometimes getting let's say I didn't get this here, right? We got a close outside, we got an entry here. Let's say I missed all of this, right? I came to my charts because I was sleeping and I just woke up because I felt like gold was moving, and I see the market here. At this point, I like this long trade. This is too extended for me to get in, and I think this is where the kind of wait for the pullback comes in. Look at where we conveniently go. I could buy a VWAP, right? But at this point, I want to see whether or not VWAP holds. What do we do at VWAP? We get some high volume. So not really I'm looking for an entry here, but then look what happens right back at the high of the range. Close back outside here. That's an entry I would look for. And is it a coincidence that look at this? Look how small this candle is, coach, because we got another 15, almost 2,000 contracts traded here in a 3 point
Oh,
candle. Uh,
wow, that
and that's a beautiful trade. If I see something like this, if you guys see something like this, just assume that I'm in the trade from here on out.
okay. We're going to hold you to that.
From here on out, if I see something like this, I am taking the trade. I'm clicking the button, no questions asked. Uh, is wow, look at that move after that. That is
How much? That was like a
it's a
hundred
hundred
dollar
point,
move.
yeah, $100 move. Shit. Um,
And there it is.
oh
Yeah.
man, all right. There's a ton of opportunity in these markets, man. A ton of opportunity in these markets. Not financial advice, definitely not financial advice, but
And, and like you said, it's that's why you need to have a plan. It's some structure
yep,
to execute and just wait. I mean, heck, I heard a trader that I knew on the floor, a successor trader. He goes, "I love when I'm bored
yeah.
because he
It
either
means the
had
market's
something
doing the
on
work
or
for you.
he goes, if I wanted excitement, I just trade all day."
Yeah,
And I didn't understand it at the time. I'm like, no, but that's when we talk about patience, waiting for your setup. Um, and I'm still prone to it. Well, it's almost there.
just wait, just wait.
How many how many of those bite you?
We never backtest almost.
Yeah.
We never backtest almost, right? We
Well,
backtest the perfect entry, and if you wait, it's there because otherwise, when we backtest, we would never see it. Right? How many times have we seen this exact trade set up? For all of you who've been joining at the buzzer, give me a number. How many of these have we seen? It's
I,
there's
I'm
one
gonna
every day.
how long have we been doing at the buzzer for what, year and a half now?
August. August. We've been
Uh,
doing it on YouTube since August, but even
and
longer
you,
than that. It's been almost 2 years.
so almost every day. So 500 times, let's just say somewhere.
Yeah, at least. At least.
And that's how markets work. Now, how do we get aligned and get the patience? And that's why we're here to work on that.
Execute when you see it. Execute when you see it. All right, let's move over to crude oil. Man, I'm excited to trade for tomorrow.
There we go.
Took my losses today, but I'm excited to trade for tomorrow. All right, what do we got in crude oil here? Want to look at it daily, or are we good with the 30 minute?
Well, let's look at the daily because it was a very interesting. Um, what's that yellow line?
20 moving average.
And we wick down there at overnight. So now mark that 20. What was the price? Because it's notice it's flattening out.
Yep.
It doesn't have the downside bias. So let's look at the half hour because this was another one that had urgency early last night.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It was a little tiny 30-minute candle, and then let's get going.
And boy, you know what's interesting? That size of a candle didn't really create much volume.
No, there was like nothing at all. Was
So
there
think
a headline or something last night?
there's a tweet. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it was done on purpose to see how much was there. I don't know because that's actually a thing. I don't want to go into it right now. Um, okay, I will. Sometimes you have entities that want to see if there's anything in the uh, I'm an old guy deck. So if they're big enough trader or entity, hey, sell 500. We used to call it the sell it worst can. That means just start hitting, sell, 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 and see how it reacts. You know, for you can get some good information here. It was like there's nothing here. It's weak. It's hold on to whatever you sold. To take that big of a candle on a little volume, you just found out there's an air pocket.
Mm.
And whoever took that volume entity, let's see how they reacted. They had no place to turn. Um, and boy, we just, I mean, it was unleashed. What was it down $2 overnight?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge move. Almost 3.
Yeah.
Like 2 and a half about to the lows.
S- So it was definitely a 2 to 1, and then you can say, well, it was 10 to 1. I don't care. To me, it's the trade. I'm going to take the money. It's short term. A longer term trade if that's what your plan was. But remember that 20-day moving average and see what happened there.
Completed the drawing, but what price was that at? 61.12. 61.12. Kind of ran below it. See the volume start to die out. Here's the candle that traded it. Once we got back above it, bye.
And
Yeah,
that was when was that London?
So London Open is right about here. We saw some volume come in before London Open,
Yeah.
so London Open's right there. It kind of had to deal with a
Oh,
little bit of downside and then continued to buy it.
what's that big candle there?
This one,
Yeah,
this is the New York Session Open.
interesting.
JD and Hogue, and shout out to them, did not take this opening range trade today because of the
Size.
size of that range. Right? Look at this.
Yeah, because it opened and it was a 65-cent opening range, and that was above that 20-day moving average, and it was big volume. So there it was. They waited for the opening, said, "Okay."
All
They
right,
they I don't know who they is,
who are they?
but that seems to me like that was bought or short covered. Either way, that was big volume. And I remember what, yeah, I was watching that. I mean, it just went, that was one of those like, okay, just buy it. How many? Just buy it.
Big volume that didn't need continuation either, right? If we look at what happened afterwards, another little playbook trade here. If the opening range is this big and VWAP stays flat, I either stay away or it's time to range trade. Uh, and we're not going to. What I try to do is if I see this, and I do this a lot of the times with news candles. Um, I'm not going to try to trade this with a two tick stop, right? Give it a little bit of space, but look at how every extension outside of this range gets faded. Uh, I'm also not going to look to take this trade 16 times for the day, right? I might take one short and say, hey, that just built a nice buffer for the day, um, and maybe a long down here. But this wide of an opening range, and Coach Paul. So we talk about high volume happening in small ranges, right? We just saw it in gold. And then we have high volume that happened in an extended range. This is telling us that they got their business done, right? Maybe they had to, you know, like you said, just buy it. But there's no more there. If there was an objective, it looks like the objective is completed here, right? So what else is there for the market to do but try to figure out who the next time somebody needs to get something done? So we balance.
Wow. That's
All
kind
right,
of like that. I'm kind of friendly to the crude.
upside.
Upside, yeah, on that daily. We were holding that. Um, it's getting close to the 50. Um, I don't know, just we're in that range.
Yep.
No, we'll see.
We will see. All right. Any other markets we want to talk about, Coach Paul? Got about
Japanese
5
yen.
minutes. Oh man, knew you were gonna
I'll
bring it
leave
up.
it. I'm gonna hand that. I'm gonna pass that to you.
All right. So if you guys were watching, let me bring back. I just deleted the wrong indicator. See if I can. There we go. All right. If you guys were watching slow markets last night, I was in a Japanese yen trade in this combine. I cut the trade because I didn't love the trade location, but I said I wanted to put this trade on in a personal account. Some traders asked me this morning, how did that trade work out? It worked out beautifully. I just wasn't in it. The market did not. It got to within 4 ticks of my entry and started to go without me, but sometimes that's what happens. So Coach Paul has been talking about the Japanese yen and kind of all the currencies. Why I really like this trade is because if we look at the 200 moving average on the daily, we closed below it. We had to close below it. I'm still friendly to this trade. You guys can probably see why here, but we closed below that 200 moving average yesterday. We closed above it, so I'm looking for a continuation. If we go down to a shorter time frame, looking at a 30-minute, where we opened last night was right at this white line here, 200 moving average on the 30-minute is where we opened, tiny range and urgency. So uh, this was the trade idea. My entry was VWAP.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. maybe this is why Coach Paul just gets in the trade.
Well, sometimes it does, and that had urgency.
Right.
Um, and difference between when we talked about the crude, that wide range. This was a small range.
Yep.
So there was less risk. Um, but wow.
So here's where I think if I'm reviewing my trades, I should have just gotten in. This high volume candle right here on this 30-minute chart, highest volume of the day. Where did we test? Down to 30%. By the time I was looking for an entry, we had already had this test. This is where sometimes as a trader, you're going to want the perfect entry, but you're not going to get it. The question that I should ask myself at this moment was, did we satisfy the pullback that you were looking? If we did, take the trade, right? Because worst case scenario, my risk could go, and I'm not going to set it here, but it could go here because the pullback was satisfied already, right? If I'm taking it up here, then I'm thinking that there's the potential of this. But now that this is already done, why does the market and rejected? Why does the market need to, if this is still a good long, why would it need to go back down here? So if I'm anywhere in this candle, this probably should be a market order buy. Again, this is just me reviewing my trades a little bit, but just get in at this point once we've satisfied this pullback. If you think there's more room left in the trade, because now I'm leaving a 0.5% move to the upside, sacrificing a couple ticks. Uh, Sometimes you just got to get in the trade. But I'm friendly to this market, Coach Paul. If this is on my scouting report, if we're going to start to hold this 20 moving average on the 30-minute as a trend, one of the targets I was looking for was this gap here, this gap down.
Oh, yeah, good
Kind of
call.
filled half of it. Um, so we'll see. Just want to see
Was
how the
that
market
from
responds.
that was from Sunday night, right?
This is from Sunday night. Yep.
So let's do interesting. On that big candle down, that one. Let's do a frame that out and put a VWAP on that. This is a derivative of the J trade.
It's kind of nasty, but
No, it's just easy. Okay, that's exhausted. You can that candle we closed above it, came back, tested halfway. We're still this is being accumulated.
yeah.
One big candle was what half of the this week's range?
Yep. Yeah. If we go out to a daily, yeah, pretty much. Man,
Hmm.
I'll just put an order in right now.
Well, that's where options can come in,
Right.
but we can't do them, so I won't comment on them.
Yeah. This looks favorable. Looks favorable. Any other markets we want to talk about, Coach Paul? We got 10 seconds left, unless we want to extend a little bit. Any other markets you want to talk?
No, we were talking about bonds yesterday.
They had an interesting day today.
Kind of looks like the 10, like the yen.
Yep.
Um,
I'm on the 30
outside
year here.
day holding those lows. Um, let's put a trend line from the top,
All the way
right?
at the
No,
top, or
no, the last high.
I was about to say we might have to go back a couple years.
Yes,
Uh, this one,
yeah, to there, all the way through those. Now bring up the 20 bar moving average. All right. So that trend line needs to be broken. This is still down. This short covering after I mean that's hardly looks like a bottom to me. Um Boy, that low.
that's April 9th. We're right around 50% of that candle right now.
Um Boy, just kind of stay away from this market right now. You can see one day it's down, next day it's up. It's very nervous and look at the volume too.
Yeah,
There's no it's really come off. Now it's the end. It's halfway through May, so we'll start through the roll to SEP soon. But that's not influencing the overall bond market. It's going to influence the spread, but hmm, either this is a W type reversal. Let's watch that trend line.
Yeah.
Still under the 200. I'm going to be watching that trend line closely.
Here it is on a shorter time frame. That's the news candle. All the news we had this morning. Same idea. Close above it. Volume. And now we're back above that 200 moving average on the 30-minute for the first time in a little while. This is just for informational purposes only, not trading advice, but I'm friendly to this market in this condition, at least
Hmm.
for a return back up to that April 9th high potentially. Genius Genie comment of the day. Come on, guys. Only 28 likes. I think we got more than that. You probably got to refresh the video, but please show us some love. Appreciate that, Genius. And do us a favor, hit that like button. Tell your friends and family to come watch us as well if they're into trading, or even if they're not. They're into Coach Paul. Just tell them to come and watch. Um, all right. I think that's it. Micro Bitcoin kind of hanging around the 30-minute 200 moving
Yeah, it
average.
looks. Can you get another leg up? That was the next one. It played around there. I actually lost a very little bit amount of money trading it today. No problem. But that 20 gets back above, we could see continue this leg up.
Looking bullish as well. Maybe going to lead the equities, but that's about it. I got nothing else, Coach Paul. You got any final words before we go?
Um, Stay disciplined. I mean, I can't say we covered that a lot today. Whatever you're looking for, have the discipline and the patience, um, and trade well.
There is a ton of opportunity on the other side of discipline. I got to remind myself of that as well, especially after a day like today. Again, it wasn't the worst day, but days like today when you get favorable price action. Yesterday, not a day that I really look at and said I could have done much better than what I did. But today is a day I can. So know what game you're playing, know where you succeed, and when the market gives you the opportunity to succeed, don't get in your own way. Right? Execute your plans, let your edge play out, and manage your risk well. We got Coach Hoop doing a class in about 10 minutes in Discord. Then we have Coach Ray and Coach Vince at 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. Central Time. Dakota with Slow Markets at 7:30 Central. Baron's going to be joining him today. Aaron is going to be doing the London Open at 1:30 Central Time. No Euro trade with D because tomorrow is Friday. Trade well, manage your risk, get off the charts for a little bit if you can. Appreciate life outside of the charts, um, so we can appreciate when we the work that we do here. Have a good Friday. If I don't talk to you,
One
and we'll
last
see you.
thing,
Go ahead,
we'll
Coach.
go over the two ATR method tomorrow, Kumar. If you remember to give us the question.
There we go. Trade well, manage your risk. Tell somebody you love that you love them, and we'll see you all tomorrow.